Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of my podcast, Is Breakfast Included? Now today on the show, I sit down with Noelle Jordan. Now Noelle works in the live music industry as an LD, a stage manager, and sometimes a backline tech. She's also a Howard University graduate, and in the last year, she's gotten into digital media production. She hosts a video podcast called What's Up Roadie? How You Doin? Where she invites different individuals from the live music industry to discuss things such as equity and mental health. What I really like about this podcast, she has 3 seasons. In every episode, she has a mental health advocate to answer and guide us through these questions. You should check it out. We talked a little bit about how she got into this industry, what she'd like to see going forward with her podcast, and what she likes for breakfast. It was a great conversation. Let's check it out.
Sorry. All right. Do you want to throw the question, or
Just let her. I usually ask you to let everyone know who you are. Just introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. I am Noelle Jordan, a lighting designer, stage manager, and backline technician for live concerts and events, as well as a mental health advocate for live entertainment professionals.
All right, on. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for doing this again.
Thank you for having me.
How did you get into the live production industry? Is this something you always wanted to do? Did you get into it by accident, or?
I think a little bit of both. My parents, they worked with Comic Relief back in the 90s. And so I can remember just being around production. And then I got into it really in high school. And it really went from there. Went from high school to college. I went to Howard University, and I just grew from there. And now I am where I am today. It's been about a 16-year journey.
All right, on. And you graduated from Howard University. What did you study there?
I got my degree in television production and technical theater with a focus in lighting.
Okay, right on. Did you know that you wanted to use that degree in a live setting, or were you aimed at more of like TV, that type of setting?
At first, I love production. So even if it's television, if it's live, I started in wanting to get into a career in television production. And I always, remembered the passion I had in high school doing our stage productions. And so when it, came time to figure out, okay, well, what is my major and what will my minor be? I really then understood that one should complement the other. And essentially, I wanted to marry the passions of production, both in studio and live. And you had asked, did I just fall into this? Lighting, I did. I did not, I didn't know much about lighting. I knew I wanted to stage manage, and I knew that technical theater was a program that I could get into. And you just had a choice between lighting, set, and costumes. And so that's what I just chose lighting. I was like, oh, let me just see how this will work and see what it's like, and really haven't looked back since.
And I guess, like everyone in this industry, backline just came with everything else. We all find ourselves at some point having to do backline.
Yes, backline came from, hey, do you want to make some extra money? I mean, really, no, like that's literally what my mentor says. Like, you want some extra money in your pocket? And I was like, of course. But it was from him seeing my work ethic, doing lights and doing stage. It's like, this will be a really good asset for you, and it'll add to to your professional resume, and it'll help you grow. It's just another thing to learn. And so I started on drums, and I fell in love with it. Like, both of my parents are musicians. They both play the piano. I don't play as well as they do. But it has helped, like, because I can read music. I've been able to work in, I stage managed an opera. So
Oh, right on.
having those skills and the passion for music, it only felt right once I started doing backline. And I'm always such a sponge and ready to learn and want to know, like, okay, well, how do you set this up, and why do you set this up this way, and why do we use this kit for this artist as opposed to another? And I'm always learning with backline, and I love it, honestly. Like, if you were to ask me which one do I love more, it's like trying to pick your favorite child.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, well, I'm a backline guy. I work as a bass and a guitar tech, but I'm always learning something new about it. So I think that's what keeps me. I think that's what that was a big thing about about 2020 when everything shut down. Like, I just kind of gave up inside. Like, am
I
I ever going
understand.
to be able to do that? Prior to 2020, how long had you been in the live music industry?
Uh, Professionally, I have been working since 2010.
Okay. So we've
I
been doing it
started
around the
back.
same amount of time.
Yes, I started doing backline in 2017, and it just grew. I mean, me being also a stage manager helped being a backline technician, for shows, definitely, and being able to be sent out on shows and understanding, the simplicities of being able to read a plot and understand it. And I don't know. I love it so much. I'm sorry.
How, as a stage manager and being a woman, how do people react to that when you come into a venue? And have you ever been like, someone walks up and says, "Who's your stage manager?" And you're like, "Well, I'm the stage manager." How do you react to that?
Yeah, of course I have that. I've experienced that. I think we all have. Um, I mean, I stand firmly in my position. Like, I'm your stage manager for today. If I'm at a venue, or if I'm working the show, then I'm coming in as the stage manager, working with the production. But I think as I've gotten more familiar and gotten into this role and in this industry, and the longer that I'm in it, I try to avoid those awkward moments.
Mm-hmm.
So and before someone can ask who it is, I will introduce myself. So I'll save you from your awkward question, and I'll just tell you who I am right now. But also for lighting, I think I learned that a lot more with lighting. I can remember one production I worked with, at a venue, and after the show, it's all hands on deck because it's smaller venues.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as I'm done with lighting and shutting down my console, I'm going up to be it coil cables or break down the stage or what have you. And I can remember someone from the band saying to me, you got to keep those hands pretty. Like, what are you doing? You got to keep your hands pretty. And I just responded, these hands did these lights. Like, that's what they do. And his demeanor changed immediately. It was, oh, it was great. It was an awesome show. Great lighting. And I
Yeah.
was like, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. The backpedaling immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I really don't try to take it personally. It's something that I think as an industry we need to get out of and normalize the fact that there are women excelling in these positions.
I agree. I agree. A lot of times they're doing it better, you know.
I've heard that too.
um, during the shutdown, you started a podcast.
Yes,
It's called "What's Up, Roadie? How you doing?" What inspired you to do that?
Mental health is something that is extremely important to me, even before the pandemic. And once the shutdown happened, I started noticing, I was very mindful of the conversations I was having with my peers and colleagues. And a lot of I guess their commentary was the same. It was, I don't have the distraction anymore. I've never had to sit this long with my thoughts. I am having to deal with life that I swept under the rug by just going on tour. And I realized, I'm like, well, first of all, everybody, we're not feeling these emotions. We're not the only ones feeling them. What I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And so I realized that there's a bigger conversation that needs to be had around mental health, because one, your job should not be your distraction from your life. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is. Lifestyle or not, it is still your job. And the fact that they haven't had to sit with their thoughts this long, I thought that was a huge red flag. But what really pushed me was becoming aware of those within our community of professionals that couldn't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And that unfortunately took their own lives. Once I became aware of that, I said I have to do something. And that's where What's Up, Roadie? How you doing? Came about. It just started off as a conversation. Just how is everyone doing? And creating this safe space to let people know, like, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, I agree. And what was the response when you released it? Like, what was the initial response of your peers, your colleagues, your coworkers, even people you didn't know?
A lot of it was thank you for creating this space. Thank you and congratulations. But I just, the response was something that I couldn't even have thought of, because I didn't do this for recognition. I didn't do this for a response.
Mm-hmm.
I did this because there was a void, and it's grown tremendously. We are now getting ready for season 4. We did 3 seasons in a year, focusing on how everyone was doing, and as well as expanding into the topic of equity within our industry, especially for marginalized communities. What does that look like? And the response is it's been amazing. It really has. And we've grown and connected with so many different people across the world. Like in our first season, I had a costume designer from Singapore.
Wow.
Yes, I've had, we had an international music festivals episode, and my host was in London. And so it's really grown. I'd be remiss if I didn't say on here and publicly thank you to everyone that has come on the show, or on our podcast. A lot of the guests that we've had are either directly friends of mine or maybe 1 or 2 degrees apart.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just me going through my phone and seeing how everyone was doing and them spreading the word. And then we expanded onto Clubhouse, and that has picked up traction as well, especially coming out of the shutdown and getting back into work in COVID. So we've really been able to reach out to a lot of people. People have been able to ask questions. I really want to make it available to those who are getting into the industry. Like we were.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like we were. I mean, you have this blueprint, or you see what the life that you want, and then all of a sudden it's just either changed drastically or ripped from under you.
yeah,
And that's also why we do this.
yeah. I was very similar. Like I started this as just phone calls to friends in the industry, talking to them. But I found that those conversations helped me, like I didn't know what to do. Back on the subject of mental health, for years, there's this article that floats around all the social media, the roadie sites or whatever, about depression and mental health in the industry. And it's always that same article. Now, coming out of 2020, where it's become a major issue, like, do you think that depression and mental health still have that stigma? Like you can be on a crew and tell somebody I have diabetes, or you can tell someone like, I cut my hand and there's nothing wrong. Like, you're in pain, but there was always this stigma of just telling somebody like, hey man, I'm having a problem right now. Like I'm sad. I don't know what to do. Do you think coming out of 2020, it's going to be easier for live music professionals to discuss it amongst each other? And what would you like to see?
Ooh, yeah, I hope so. I really do. I feel that because we're starting to have these conversations about normalizing these conversations that they have on the road. I know for myself, I actually just got off of the road. Hey, in an off day, I'm telling them like, hey, I've got therapy. I've got a tele appointment. I'll see you guys after that.
Yeah.
But and finding someone that you can confide in, I think that's the biggest thing on tour, is to find someone that you trust
Mm-hmm.
to say like, I'm sad or I'm happy, but no one else is.
Yeah.
I don't want to be annoying, but I also don't want to join a pity party.
Yeah. 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 I agree.
What I would love to see is mental health or a therapist or teletherapy to be normalized as a line item, just like you would hire a massage therapist,
A caterer
and
or
a caterer, just like you would have a dressing room for a massage therapist. For your crew, if anybody wants to get a massage, you should have a dressing room with either a video camera or what have you, some type of system where you can have a therapist on call for 8 hours and your crew can go in for 30-minute sessions if they want. That is what I hope to see.
yeah.
Is that it is normalized as a line item, just like a caterer or a masseuse.
Coming back on the road after the shutdown, were you able to connect with other crew members about this? Like, were you able to talk to them and go, hey, like, I started seeing a therapist. So
Yes.
if I get a little, talkative about it, just either forgive me or just, hey, listen,
Yes. Yes, I have. Getting on the road and, just letting people know, and I would, say like, this isn't for me. Like, I'm not plugging myself. I'm not trying to promote myself. This is a space for all of us that we all contribute to. It is not just me. Like any of the questions throughout each season and each episode, those aren't solely my questions. It is questions that we get or topics that we get from panelists, from guests, from even audience members and people that aren't on this side of it, but want to know, well, how do you guys deal with this? And well, what do you do if this happens while you're on the road? Or how are you dealing with not being on the road? Because, you know, a lot of people that aren't in our industry, when the shutdown happened, they were saying, well, now you have a break and you don't have to live on a bus. And it's like, but I signed up for that.
They don't get that we like living on a bus. We like flying. We like checking into hotels. People, you know, when people approach me about this, they're like, hey, how do I get into that? I'm like, if you can do those three things and not annoy the people around you, a lot of people aren't cut out for it.
They're not.
Yeah.
And I even think people that are cut out for it aren't fully cut out.
I know, right?
Because we all have our moments. I mean, it's something as simple as, you know, your bunk and the people that you live with on the bus and the chemistry and being able to read a room.
Yeah.
Even when it's on a tour bus or a bandwagon or a sprinter, like however you're traveling.
Yeah. You got to get along with that person that you probably don't like personally, but you got to get along with them.
Yes, definitely.
Your podcast, a lot of season 3 had to do with, like women in the industry and equity.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
I love our women's editions that we have on What's Up Roadie, and we just started doing those because the conversation, like you said, it's about equity. It's about and not equality, and I think those two words get confused because it's more so about leveling the playing field. I mean, we talk about things like code switching, even between, you know, men and women or different races, or cultural backgrounds, I should say. Yeah. And just having these conversations with these different groups of women and seeing their different vantage points, I noticed some similarities. I noticed that, you know, some of the stories that I have, such as the keep your hands pretty moment, other women have had the same. They've, you know, had that blank stare after you say, you know, I'm your lighting designer, I'm your stage manager, I'm your front of house engineer, or I'm your backline, I'm your drum tech. I have gotten that, like, wait, you're what? Oh wow, that's really, really cool. And it's just like, yeah, it's a little condescending because would you have that same response to a man?
Yeah, it's that, oh, that's really cool, you're a girl and you're doing this.
It's like aha moment. Like, I don't like, who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just having those conversations and really seeing their vantage points. Because especially with women on the road, I have spent the majority of my career thus far in venues. So to hear the dynamics of what it's like to be on the road, or to be in the game for 20 plus years and to have that perspective, has not only broadened my frame of reference, but it's also brought in a lot of young women in the industry. They'll come on to our clubhouse room, we'll do a roadie check-in or watch the show, which is on YouTube, and they'll be inspired. And so what we want to do is really break this chain of, oh wow, you're a girl and you do this.
One of my
fill in the blank.
One of my gigs has a rotating 2 female tour managers, and one of my favorite things to do is when we walk into a venue and either the house production manager walks up to me, I always point at them and go, "Ask the boss. I just tuned the guitars."
Yeah, even my last stint on the road, me being the L2, having, my LD was also our crew chief. So he's always, he's speaking to the crew as before we load in, letting them know, these are the department heads. And then, he gets to me, he's like, we're on my lighting hands. This is Noelle, this is my L2, whatever she says goes. And to see the look on some of these people's faces, it's like, wait, what? Well, wait, where are you going to be? And then it's also like, you have those other faces that are like, okay, I see you, girl.
Yeah.
All right. We're following her. And even there are a lot of venues where my lighting hands were all women, which was just awesome.
Now, in a situation where they're not all women, and you get that look like, how do you approach it and make it just seem like within minutes, like, okay, we're all going to do this job? How do you approach that to where they're like, oh, okay, cool, it's just a gig, we're just going to do this gig, get them out of that mentality?
I would say, I don't want to say like combat, but I match the energy with just positivity, honestly. I don't know if that sounds corny.
It doesn't. Not at all.
To be able, usually, you just hear people, well, I match their energy, I match their aggression. And it's like, no, you got to match it with positivity. And it's like, all right, y'all, this is what's going to happen. Even if, one day we had 20 stagehands and the next day we only have 12. And I'm like, all right, y'all, it's the same show, but we're going to get this done. Let's do this. This is the plan. Boom, boom, boom. Here's what we're going to be doing. Here's why we're going to do it this way. And let's go. I have not had to say, even though I've heard it, but it never came out of my mouth. Stop moving those jaws. Let's move these paws. Yeah. I heard that. I was just like, oh my God.
Do you ever want to say that?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you do. But that might not yield the same response.
Yeah.
That you want. So it is about finessing your verbiage and your approach. And so that's how I was able to, get past quote unquote stigmas that they may be thinking. And just let them know like it's gonna be a good day. We're gonna work hard, but we're gonna get it done, and we're all gonna go home the same piece that we left it.
Right. I want to ask you this, and this might be a touchy subject. Do you ever run into, like, has race ever been a problem on a gig for you? I've had my own experiences. That's why I'm asking you.
Yes, I've had my own experiences as well.
Yeah.
I will say that, especially being a Black woman, I definitely have. And some of the instances I wasn't even aware of because I was so focused on the gig. It had to be pointed out, like, hey, do you realize that they're second guessing everything that you say? And after a while, like at first, it's like, oh, okay, well maybe, they just want clarity. I'll put it that way. But then it gets to the point where it's like, okay, how do I effectively communicate without losing my fill in the blank? How do I effectively communicate to get the job done? Because at the end of the day, race, gender, it doesn't matter. We are all here for one reason, and that is for the production.
The show.
Like we're here for the show. Like we're here for the production. I work for the production. You work for the production.
Yeah. That's always my attitude. Like, man, I don't care about any of this stuff. I just care about this show, how it goes up, and more importantly, how it goes down.
How it goes down.
We're always worrying about that out.
Exact. Oh my gosh, the out can be so traumatic. But it's like, if you don't know, I'm gonna just say it now. Your in is to prepare you for your out.
Yeah.
Like you always have to think about the out as you're loading in. That's the biggest part. And it's just like, let's get this. It's not only like, let's get it done. Let's get it done well, safely, and efficiently for our loadout.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a
And
production manager one time that always had to use this line at the end of the night. Everyone's scrambling to get their cases and get their, lighting and audio and backline. And he would stop and say, backline is the last thing in and the first thing out. It's been like that since the beginning of time.
Yeah, it is. It really, really is.
But
like we're the last ones in. Definitely, it's the first thing that's got to go out. And it's like with lighting, we could be the first ones in. Oh, but I'm definitely the last one.
Oh, you're gonna be like.
I mean, especially like when you're running motors and power, I'm the last one out.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I see you guys get on the bus at the end of the night after I've eaten all the pizza.
Exactly, and taking your shower.
I know, right? Well, during the 2020 shutdown, I keep referring it to the 2020 shutdown. I'll just say during 2020, what did you miss the most about being on the road?
I missed the family. I missed my tour family. My experience was a little different because I actually got put on. That was like my first real tour. I had done, spot dates here and there, but my first like bus tour, I got pulled out of my venue like March 9th or 10th. And then on the 12th, after sound check, shut down. Everybody go take 2 hours and then we got to break it all down.
Yeah.
And so I felt that I was robbed of my moment. But what we did was we were just like, okay, well, the tour is shut down for right now. So we're going to take the bus back to Texas. Do you want to ride or do you want us to drop you off or get on the plane? I was like, I already packed my stuff. I got a suitcase worth of stuff. Let's just go. Let me just have this experience of being on the bus and being around this family atmosphere. And so that was one thing that I did miss. And I think I missed that not only from being on the road, but for being in my venue. It's that, we all know it's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
We all know you're going to be here all day. You're going to work longer than probably everybody else that you're friends with. And so, heck, your friends might even come to the show and you still won't be done working. But when you're doing that amongst your friends and your family in this industry, it doesn't feel like work. One of my favorite quotes is, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And it's so real, especially I feel in this industry, because you have to love it.
Yeah, you do.
And that's what I held on to in 2020 in order to get back and be here in 21.
Yeah. Yeah. I missed the routine. I missed walking around backstage. I missed breaking down my gear and then going to help my drum tech pack his gear up. Yeah, I missed it all. I missed the fans and I missed it all. And like you, like when it came back in September, my first shows of 2021 were in England. And I remember flying over there and just kind of having a panic attack. Like, am I going to remember how to do this? Like, it's so different now. There's COVID tests, there's bubbles, and but all I could think about was, oh, that's going to be a cakewalk. It's like, can I do the job? Am I going to remember the cues?
Yeah, it definitely felt like the first day back at school. Like maybe for the first couple of weeks. It definitely felt like that. It felt like the first day back at school. It felt like I remember I kept saying when we got back, I was like, man, these 14 hours hit differently. Man, these days don't feel the same. You are extra, extra tired now.
Oh
Like,
man.
why am I yawning at noon?
When do I get to take my nap? I've been taking a
Ex-
nap for a year.
exactly. It's like, are we done? Do you see everything in your console? Can you control everything on stage? Great. I'm on radio. I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it hits differently, but I will say, I I appreciate it so much more. Um, I even think after the first show back, I might have cried a little, just out of a release of emotions.
Yeah,
On to
I'm right there with you. Like,
just one little tear.
yeah,
Like
like we're
we did
doing
it.
this. We did it. We did it. Um, what can we expect in season 4 of What's Up, Roadie?
Oh, season 4.
Can you give me any
We are.
spoilers? Like, which episode will I be on, or
Hey, hey everyone. So this season coming up, we are looking forward to continue not only continuing the conversation of equity within our industry, but also to see how everyone is doing now that we're back. Um, what are some things that we're glad stayed? What are some things that left? What are some changes and adjustments that have had to be made, like you said, with COVID, especially with COVID compliance officers now? Um, but we're also expanding the conversation not only to, and that extends beyond, the artists, the vocalists, our musicians, engineers, managers, even, and expanding our frame of reference and our vantage points. That's where season 4 is going. It's the equity and it's the how you doing since we're back. I am looking forward to it. Don't worry, you will be on the show.
Oh,
Don't you worry
you
about
don't.
that one.
Was I that obvious?
Don't you worry about that. But no, like that. It's to continue to create this space and to continue to normalize these conversations until it is the norm. We are doing both. We have some touring episodes, we have some venue episodes, and definitely met a lot of members of the union of IATSE. And so I also wanted to get, we're also going to get their take on it as well. Not so much from, those of us that are the technicians and the roadies. What about your stagehands that are doing this every single day?
Yeah, they have to deal with a different crew every day.
Every day. So what is that like?
Yeah. That's an interesting, that would be an interesting point of view because even I never thought of that. Like, we come into the show, we have the same show in every venue, but, we're just another show to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
we think this is our job. Like, that is their job.
that's their job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had shows where all I had to do was point. I couldn't touch a thing.
Mm.
And for me, especially one as a technician, and then also working in venues, I'm like, what do you mean I can't touch? It's right there.
Yeah.
And so it's dealing with, touring crews and for us, this is from people that I've spoken with that have been on the road. They're like, man, I have to keep explaining how to set this up every single day to a whole new crew. And it's like, yeah, but they have to learn how to set up different stages every day
Yeah.
and be that versatile.
Yeah. I personally, and if any other live production people hear this, they may think I may get a little hate about this, but I've never understood getting angry at the local crew if they don't know how to do something that you do every day. You
Yeah.
know, whenever they give me my guy, like they'll say, "Hey, do you need a hand to help you?" I always tell them, "You got the easiest guy. Just stand there. I'm going to hand you things." And then, but I've never gotten frustrated because I used to be that guy, you know? We were
Exactly.
all new. I mean, I was a local hand at one point, and I know how I like to be spoken to and how I like to be treated, and sometimes I wasn't treated that great, but I'm friends now with some of the techs that came through back when I was a local hand, and they're the
Hmm.
guys on my speed dial that I call when I need something now. And so
Yes.
I
Yes,
try and treat
definitely.
the local hands the way they treated me, you know.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I have I've seen and heard. Um, yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm trying to just figure out how to put this, but yeah, I definitely understand that. I think we forget, especially when you're in the rhythm of the road, that you at one point didn't know what you know today.
Yeah.
And the only reason you do know what you know today is because someone had the patience to teach you. So, I mean, in getting back out in 21, a lot of venues are short. There's a whole lot more green hands in venues now than there were before the shutdown. And so I remember seeing someone, like, it's my third day, it's my second day, I just got here, and it's like, okay, now I know my approach.
Yeah. Yeah.
If seeing someone, I'm sure all of the roadies will cringe at this, but seeing someone wrap your cable around their elbow, oh my God. I'm like, wait, what are you doing? Because all I just see is money. I was just like, you're going to ruin my cable. And then I'm going to have to buy another one. Like, wait.
Yeah.
Does anyone else feel comfortable? And so, like, you have to then ask those questions. I mean, it helped, when you got your stagehands for the out, is who feels comfortable coiling cables? It may sound like a stupid question, but that's what you have to ask.
And you always have those two hands that are like, we know exactly what you want, and everyone else steps back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Everyone,
and having a stage hand teach another. It's like,
yeah,
okay, no, you don't want to do it like that. This is how you want to do it. This is how
yeah,
you want to follow the natural coil. Like, don't even explain over under. They're not there yet. It's follow the natural coil of the cable. It's like, we'll get to over and under later. But for right now, that is the basic of what you need to know about this cable.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie.
Otherwise,
I was 2 years in of being a guitar tech before I learned over under.
yeah,
You know?
I came from theater where we twist the cable.
Yeah.
So getting out of that mentality of is like, no, that's not how you do it. And I'm like, well, wait, how do you do it then? What is the difference? Why? And certainly once I got on the road, you know why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if your cables are crap at the out, it makes your in, like we said before, it makes your load in
Oh
rough.
man.
Because now they've got to stretch it out, recoil it, and then run the cable. And it's like that's added time. And so we just have to be patient and really remember that someone was patient with us.
Yeah. 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 You're right. It's like having that patience with someone and saying, I always remember like, hey, we all started when I run into roadies or that have been doing it for years and they a lot of them are a little grumpy. But when I run into them, I think, man, you were new. I was new. They're new. And I've learned a lot of things from newer techs that are just getting in it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what we all have to do is, why do you do it that way? I know for myself coming up, especially early in my career, and even now, if I know a way to achieve the same result, but you're doing it differently, why?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how will is that the way that I should do it? And so it's always asking like why and how. And we just always have to remember that for me, this industry is about learning, growing, and teaching.
Yeah.
That's the only way it's going to be sustained, is if after we learn, we grow, and then you've got to teach the next because somebody taught you.
Yeah. 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 Don't hold all those secrets to yourself. My podcast is called Is Breakfast Included? I don't know if you listen to any episodes.
Yes.
But if breakfast was included, Noelle, what would you have?
Oh, my tour is going to laugh at this. If breakfast was included, I would have bacon and eggs on a plain bagel with no cheese and simply orange juice.
That sounds like your go-to.
It's the no cheese that they would laugh at, because I don't like cheese on my sandwiches, especially on breakfast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would be doing surgery.
Peeling it off
to get this cheese off and scraping this cheese off. So if breakfast was included, yes, bacon and eggs, no cheese on a plain bagel with some simply orange juice.
Right on. Well, do you have any social media you want to plug?
Yes. So we have What's Up Roadie official Instagram page, which is What's Up Roadie. And on Facebook, we are What's Up Roadie, How You Doin? You can follow me on Instagram under @that's NOE .Soraya, SORAYA. And the same on Facebook is Noelle Soraya. And our website, if you would like to view past episodes, in addition to it being on YouTube under the channel What's Up Roadie, my production company website is breedcreativity.com. BREED creativity.com.
Right on. Well, Noelle, thank you so much for taking time. I know you just got home from a tour and you took the time to talk to me. I do really hope we cross paths. I'd love to meet you in person sometime.
Yes, that will happen. That will happen. We just put that out there, so it will happen.
Right on. Well, I'm going to let you go, and you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right on. Noelle Jordan. What's up, Roadie? How you doing? Go check it out. 3 seasons on YouTube. breedcreativity.com. Check it out. You can see what she's up to. They've got season 4 coming out. We talked about me coming on as a guest. I don't know what's going to happen. I really want to do it. Thanks, guys, for listening today. Please check out this podcast. It's so good. All right, guys, I'm out. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.